Hey everybody, it's Greg Harrelson here, and of course it's another week, another Tuesday, and here we are together live in the Facebook group of Real Geeks, and we've been doing this for quite a while now. I know gosh, it might be going on for 2 years. So, just don't forget, for those of you that do find value in these Real Geeks, I guess live calls. Don't forget that they're recorded, and within Real Geeks themselves, they keep these archived, and you can find like replays. So there's plenty of coaching within the Real Geek system. If you want to go back and listen to some previous recordings based on the topics that you find relevant for yourself, then don't forget to do that. I'm just making sure here I'm live on Facebook. I've got that here. Okay, good. So sorry for that little distraction. Anyways, we're going to talk about leveraging Real Geeks for price reductions. Of course, price reductions. It's kind of one of these like little subtopics in our industry. For people that are going to get listings, Ooh, I don't know what I just did there, but for those people that are going to go out there and take listings, in today's market, we're starting to see more and more price reductions are necessary. And so I want to kind of talk with you about price reductions. I'm not necessarily going to spend the entire day talking, about coaching you on price reductions. I do that in our coaching programs, but I want to share with you some of the tools and some of the techniques that you can use inside of Real Geeks to set you up for great price reduction conversations. Because unfortunately, price reduction conversations, and the reality is not a lot of us like to have conversations and ask a seller to adjust their price. It's an uncomfortable conversation. A lot of times when we go and have to ask them about price, we're worried that they're going to say things like, well, you're the one that set the price, or, well, why didn't you tell me that when we listed the property? And so sometimes the fear of what a seller may say is uncomfortable. So therefore we just stay away and say, I'm just going to avoid the conversation altogether. But then the worst thing happens. The property sits on the market stale, not getting any showings, not selling for month after month. Then it expires, or they get angry and withdraw, and we lost an opportunity. So moving into the future, conversations about price reductions are likely going to be something we're going to have to kind of tune up our skills. We're going to have to get skilled at it. I've unfortunately been through hot markets and down markets, and I've had to deal with price reductions, and we're starting to deal with them today. As a matter of fact, I made 3 requests for price reductions today, and it's highly likely that they're going to come back with a positive, confirmation that they're okay with me adjusting the price. Notice, by the way, when I said that, what I did is I'm using Real Geeks to help me, to assist me in keeping them up to date as to what's going on with their values and whatnot. And then I'm sending an email to them as my first attempt to get a price reduction. So just let you know, if you all, I just decided to do this today, though, that if you want a copy of the email, I think Morgan's going to put a link in here. You could just actually get a copy and download. This would be a newsletter, not a newsletter. This would be my latest price reduction email that I'm sending out to my clients, my active listing clients, requesting them to adjust the price to a number that I'm putting in the email. And what I will likely happen is if I send that to 20 people, I'll likely get about 4 people to automatically agree to a price adjustment. And then I'll call the rest of them and talk to them a little bit more, and I'll probably get another 4 of them to adjust. And then the other, say 11, won't make any adjustment. So I'll continue to work on them, over time if the property doesn't sell. So I can see that she put a link there. If you just go there, it's a form. So you just click on that, and then you can download. It's just a Word document with what I'm putting in my email. So feel free to do that. But let's talk about leveraging Real Geeks itself. And what do I mean by that? So early on, when I was starting to take lots and lots of listings, especially when the market wasn't that great, my inventory would grow. And I had a lot of listings. There was a time where I had well over 200 active listings. There would be a time where some of these listings were not selling. And I realized that the market was going down, and I needed to adjust the price because the market had changed from the time that we had listed the property. And, I would go in just pretty raw and say, hey, we need to adjust the price because of this. And then I would get this conversation all the time, or a question. And it's like, well, what are you doing to get my property sold? Or, well, what are you doing? In other words, they would make me feel as if they were in the dark. And what dawned on me is like, you know what? We have to make sure that we earn the right to ask for a price reduction in the future. We got to earn the right to ask for a price reduction in the future. And so I started thinking about, how can I earn the right? And I could earn the right through communication. Like, if I would communicate what I'm doing, if I would communicate what's going on in the market, and I did both of those things consistently, then when I needed to go for the price reduction, they already knew what I was doing. I already kind of warmed them up about what was going on in the market. And I saw my conversion from attempt to get a reduction to reduction obtained. I saw that ratio go through the roof. And so I want to share with you, like, I also incorporated Real Geeks into the earning of the right. So there's a few things that you can do here. Number one, I've got my notes here on the computer. So is to leverage Real Geeks is, when you get a listing, my suggestion is that you add your active seller into your Real Geek CRM. Now, you're not going to kick off, properties like they're looking for properties to buy. What you're doing is you're going to add them, and then you are going to add a search, save them a search. So you're going to add them, your active seller, then you're going to save your active seller a search. And the active seller, the search that you're going to save is going to be listings in their neighborhood or their community or their condo building. And if you say, well, there's not in a neighborhood, then you could do it in their zip code. You could do residential homes in their zip code. In other words, you try to make it as relevant to that listing as you can. If it can be their neighborhood, then let it be their neighborhood. If they don't have a named neighborhood, then let it be an area. And then maybe it's 3-bedroom homes if it's a 3-bedroom home. So come as close as you can, to do your best as you can to have very similar criteria. And you want them to get a notification from Real Geeks every time a new listing comes on or a price reduction of a listing takes place. But what you want to do is, hypothetically, if your listing is in Oakland Heights, then you save them a search for all new listings in Oakland Heights, which should include the price reduced properties too. They should get a notification. But if your listing is at $400,000, then I want you to put a price range of $400,000 and below. Because if a lot of listings come on the market overpriced in Oakland Heights, like at $429 and $449 and $450, then the reverse thing's going to happen. They're going to be like, oh my God, all these people are listing their properties for these high prices. Maybe we should raise the price. I don't want that dialogue. That's backfiring. So I'm going to save a search for new listings in Oakland Heights that come onto the market at $400,000 or below. So guess what? Now let's just assume my listing is $400,000. So when one comes on at $399, they're going to get a notification. One comes on at $379, they're going to get a notification. If one comes on or is price reduced from $410 to $394, they're going to get a notification. I want them to constantly get notifications if things are being added to the MLS that are lower than their price. I want them to know that. Oh, another one just came on. Oh, they just listed it at $389. Oh, another one just came on, lower than our price. Hopefully you're starting to understand the method here. The second thing, a way to leverage it, is you can then add the sold. You could set them on a sold search where, when there's a sold in that same community, under 400,000, they get a push notification. So like a buyer, you can add them for new listings. You're doing that for your seller. And then for property owners, you can send them sold searches. You're going to do that for this seller. And it's going to be sold that neighborhood or similar area 400,000 or below. You want them to get that. So now they're saying, oh gosh, another one was just listed at 389. Another one was sold at 394. Now they're not going to get bombarded because there's not that many transactions in that neighborhood. Okay. But you could take that neighborhood and maybe a few other like neighborhoods. So then all of a sudden they can get some of these notifications. And they're starting to see, wow, properties like mine are selling for a little bit less. Oh, here's another competitor lower than mine. Now, there's a third thing that I want you to set them up for, and that's a market activity report. So it's in the same section of where you set up the sold reports, set them up a market activity report. So once a month, they can get the total CMA. So now what you're doing is, in my opinion, we're earning the right to ask for a price reduction because we're sending them information about our competition. We're sending them information about comps that have just sold. We're sending them a complete overview of days on the market, square footage, price per square foot, sales prices, listing prices, pendings, etc. We're sending all that stuff. Now we're leveraging Real Geeks to do all the heavy lifting to do it for us. So all you have to do is make sure that when you get an active listing, add it to your checklist of things to do to set up these searches. Now, this is very, very important. Very, very important. When you set up a search, say your seller's name is John Doe or Jane Doe, you set up a search for John and Jane Doe in Oakland Heights based on all the things that I just said. What you need to do is you need to set yourself up on the same search. So if you set them up on a search to get listings under 400,000 in Oakland Heights, you need to clone that search and set it up. But I want you to name the search or name the sold report or the activity report. I want you to give it a name, and you could name it Seller dash Doe, Doe being their last name, or Harrelson, Seller dash Harrelson. So what that means is when you get an email and it says Seller dash Harrelson, you know that your seller, last name Harrelson, just got that same notification. So you'll know when they actually got that market report. You'll know when they actually got the sold that just sold for lower than theirs, or the listing that just listed for lower than theirs. So as soon as you get that, you can wait a little bit, maybe wait a day, and then you could text them and you could say, hey, Greg, did you see that listing that just came on the market? I sent you an email yesterday, a notification yesterday for you to take a look at it. I just wanted to talk to you about that. You see how you're letting the technology do the heavy lifting and sending all this out so you don't have to manually do this all the time. For every time one sells, send it. We won't do that. We don't have enough time in the day to do that, so we won't do that. But Real Geeks can do it for us. And then clone the search so you also know when they got it, so you can give them a moment to look at it, review it, and then you can decide on what your next step is. I mean, maybe you just talked to them this last week, so you don't want to call them and text them again, but you're going to see them getting this, and you can know, hey, look, now it's time. I've warmed them up. I've given them information. I've earned the right to make this next call, and you can give them a call and start talking to them. But the technology is the one that just informed them of the new listing. So it's not that you just put that listing on. It's like, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what our competition's doing. We need to start talking about our maybe potentially repositioning ourselves in this current market. Now, what I would do and what I do is I do this, what I'm talking about with the sellers. And then when I start to see that they're getting some notifications, then we will send them an email that requesting a price reduction. And I'll fill in the number in the email. So I have to do that. I can't do that in blast. I have to do that one by one. Fill in. Most of you don't have thousands of listings, so it's just going to be a few. Send them an email. A few of those people will email saying, yes, go ahead and drop the price. Some of them will say, no, I don't really want to do it right now. Some of them won't respond. The ones that say drop the price, drop the price. The ones that don't say drop the price, give them a call and start having conversations with them. Whether they do it now or they don't do it now, you're actually keeping them informed, hence earning the right to ask again in the next couple of weeks if it doesn't sell. Eventually get it priced correctly so you can sell. A lot of real estate agents, what they're dealing with now is, yes, listings are going on and they're still selling quick, but there's some that are sitting and not selling. And the listing doesn't get better over time. It gets worse over time. So we have to be timely in going back and repositioning ourselves in the area of pricing in order to fulfill our duties and the promises that we made, which is to get this property sold. So again, I see the link in the comments that you can download if you'd like to see my the letter that I'm sending or the email that I'm sending my sellers. And listen, you don't have to use it. You can just get an idea of what I'm doing. And if you want to change it, I actually give it to all of my agents. And some of my agents will change it. And they have to add their seller's name and their price, but they'll change some of the things that I say. This is just a template to get you started that kind of shows you, like, here's the flow. We do this with our active seller when we first take the listing in Real Geeks. We monitor it because we're getting the duplicate emails. We're sending this email with a request to reduce to a particular price. And then based on the response or non-response, we either adjust them or we call them, have conversations. When I have conversations, a few more people will agree. So I'll adjust those. And the ones that don't agree, then I'm earning the right to continue to be their agent. I'm following through, following up, and I will call them again if it's not selling in the future, or I'll go through this process again. If it's not selling in the future, ask them to reduce until we get the property sold. Now, I'm not trying to reduce people for the sake of like just making my job easy. I'm trying to prevent them from expiring. If it's been if you all are going to sit here and say, which most people do, oh my gosh, the real estate market's so good right now. Okay, great. If it's so good right now and we've got a listing sitting, then it probably needs to be adjusted. And if you say, no, this one's just on a busy road, well, then you need to adjust the price based on the busy road. Well, this one's not in that great condition. You need to adjust the price to match the condition. Very rarely is it anything other than the price. Well, it's the market. Well, then it's not the price. I mean, in the grocery store, you can't say less people are buying apples, so therefore let's let all the apples stay at the same price and rot. No, what are they going to do? They're going to adjust the price until there's enough demand to clear all the apples off the shelf. It's always supply and demand. So those are some ideas that you can have. Now, as a lot of you know, I do go through a lot deeper methods, in our coaching. So if you ever want to get involved in coaching with me and let me help you kind of, build up your business to a higher level through, some of the coaching techniques that we use in Real Geeks Mastery, then please do. You can just go to rgmastery.com right there and learn more about our coaching. And again, I go way more deeper in these methodologies. In an upcoming call, probably Thursday, I'm going to be talking about the class action lawsuits and our buyer agents going out of business. Those are the types of conversations that I'm going to be having with them. What adjustments should they be making based on maybe new rules that might be placed and things like that. So anything Real Geeks and what's going on in the market, that's what I'm coaching in RG Mastery. But you don't have to be involved. If you want to just download that, that document, you go ahead, feel free to do that or not. It's okay with you. But I do recommend that you expand your mind on what all you can do with Real Geeks. Real Geeks is not just a tool to be able to get buyers. It's not just a tool to be able to log our notes and put people on, future activities on our calendar. It's much more than that. And, where people will sometimes say, well, what's the best CRM? You know the answer. It's the one that you'll use. But I suggest that not only do you take Real Geeks and start using it in different ways, study Real Geeks. Because as you can see, I'm kind of, in my mind, throwing you a little curveball here in the sense of, I'm talking about using Real Geeks for price reductions. Who's talking about that? Who's talking about how to leverage Real Geeks for price reductions? And trust me, we're leveraging Real Geeks for many aspects of our business. So I wanted to introduce to you something that's kind of like off the wall. A lot of people haven't heard of this or thought of this, but under the notion of you've got to earn the right to ask for a price reduction, you can leverage the technology to put you in position to ask for the reduction and actually get it. So listen to this a few times. If I went too fast, I apologize for that, but I hope that this is helpful. Please join me at rgmastery.com. Check out the coaching. I would love to be your coach. I think right now with the way the market's going, all of us need to be in coaching. So I'm here. I'm committed to help you grow in your business. Until next week, I guess I'll see you next week. But until then, you all have a wonderful week. Go make something happen. Bye, everybody.